So Brimstone is interesting, not least because at the beginning of it, unless I misread this, the title when it came up on the screen said Koolhoven's Brimstone. Okay, so if you say Koolhoven, you immediately know who I'm talking about, don't you? I'm obviously talking about Martin Koolhoven.
I don't know lots about.
No, well, that's the thing. I mean,
what should I know about him?
Well, he has made a number of films, but the fact is that calling a film Koolhoven's Brimstone, which is how the title card came up on the screen, is rather like, Almodovar's All About My Mother, but very few people...
building his part up somewhat.
I just think very few people can get away with the singular... Anyway, whatever. So, I mean, maybe I was wrong, maybe I hallucinated it, maybe that isn't what happened, but that's what it looked like to me. Anyway, so the story is... It's a tale of damnation and retribution set in 19th century, late 19th century American West, although it's actually shot in Hungary, Spain, Austria, Germany, and environs. And it stars Dakota Fanning, Guy Pearce. And the story is that at the very, very beginning, there is a sort of enigmatic lake-bound prologue. And we then meet our central character, who appears to be a wife and mother, but doesn't speak. And we will learn during the course of the film why it is that she doesn't speak. She goes with her husband to the local church, which is, where everybody goes. And along comes a new preacher, the Reverend, played in fiendish fashion by Guy Pearce. She takes one look at the Reverend, and despite the fact that she doesn't speak, everything about her says, this is terrible, this is awful, this is something very, very bad. She manages to insist to her husband that the Reverend is kept away from their home. Brilliantly, the husband invites him in. Here's a clip.
I know you're there, and I know you can hear me. You may have no tongue, but there is nothing wrong with your ears. Why the doubts arise in your heart? Why are you troubled? How do you sleep at night? How does it feel to be a murderess? Do you know why I'm here? I'm here to punish you. Do you love this family? I've looked at your daughter. She's almost a young woman already. There you are. I must be going. Please don't bear a grudge against Nathan in your heart. Losing a child is the worst thing a body can go through. I was just talking to your wife about that same thing.
He needs to be kept out of your house along with Ed Harris.
Exactly. That's right. So if Javier Bardem's in your house and there's a knock at the door and it's either Ed Harris or Guy Pearce, just send them on their way. Send them to go wander over to the 100 Acre Wood, spend some time in Goodbye Christopher Robin.
I don't want to buy a duster.
I don't
want to buy your religious magazine. Thank you so much. Off you go.
Completely calm down. So what then happens is that the film is chaptered with biblical book names, and it unfolds in Memento-like fashion, or actually, I suppose it would be more accurate to say in Pulp Fiction-like fashion, in a series of chapters that are arranged in a non-linear fashion. So we see the story kind of unfolding in reverse, and we learn what's going on in each scene by the subsequent scene, which fills in stuff from behind. The director says that it has a feminine perspective, which he says is kind of something which is often very lacking from Westerns, although I think it's more common in recent Westerns than perhaps he's giving it credit for. It's a very, very... It's a film which is full of portent and full of, as you heard from that, there was moments in it, funnily enough, which it reminded me a little bit of or I don't think the director would thank me for this, of Richard Stanley's Dust Devil. That same sense of, we get visions of burning houses, we get visions of sort of mythical landscapes. And during the course of the movie, as the sort of mystery unfolds, it goes through a series of retributive and violent passages in which there is, huge amounts of unpleasantness going on screen. Most of it directed at the women characters, and most of it instigated by this kind of religious-inspired misogynistic mania. Now, the thing about the film is this. Firstly, it is very moody. It is done with a real sense of style and a real sense of panache. It is lengthy, and I think it is overly lengthy. And it is also full of a kind of portent that suggests that it takes itself more seriously than I was able to take it. From my point of view, I thought it was lurid, fantastically overwrought, and essentially an exploitation picture with, in the same way, that's why I think the Pulp Fiction or perhaps, a later Tarantino might be a sort of a better touchstone. Guy Pearce is just ripping this role up. I mean, he has obviously sunk himself deep into it and is enjoying that enormously. Dakota Fanning, I thought, was terrific and does really well. And it's a complicated role to play. It is, however, a film which it's tough viewing, not least because there are things in it in which you think, I'm not entirely sure we need to be seeing this, and I'm not entirely sure we need to be seeing this again. And there are moments in it in which I, winced and looked away because of the stuff that was happening on screen. But as I said, it is all absolutely drenched in this kind of doom, portent, gloom, and the narrative itself is actually, he's right about saying that it is a feminine narrative, but I'm not entirely sure. You can often get a picture when there's a disjunct between the story that is being told and the way that the story is being told. At times it was exasperating. At times it was impressive. It's very moody, very atmospheric. It's certainly not for everyone, because I think it will try some people's patience. But it's an interesting curio that has. There are images in it. There are certain things in it that have really, really stayed with me afterwards. And I said, oddly enough, it reminded me slightly of Richard Stanley's Dust Devil. I can't remember the last time that a film did that. And I like Dust Devil a lot. I like Dust Devil more, incidentally, but there we go.